Welcome, welcome, ladies. This is Jill Hope, and this is a brand new episode in our Women with Wealth series. I hope you had a good catch up week last week and you were able to watch some of the videos that you may have missed previously in this series. But we are back with a new topic today, and I am so excited to share with you. So, very briefly, before we get started, the Women with Wealth series is a place where we can come together, share on a powerful golden nugget, a powerful bite-sized piece of wisdom, some truth that can really help you get onto the path of creating the life that you dream of. There are so many things that we do to block up our path and get things in the way of what we really desire. And so what we do on this series is we look at these things and I share ideas on how you can shift your mindset so you don't get stuck and you can keep going down the path to your dreams. So, in today's episode, the topic I want to talk about is something that many, many women butt up against at some point while they're on this journey to creating what they want. And it's this idea of the dreaded mistake, fear of making a mistake. Fear of making a mistake holds so many people back. We have many different reasons as to what we're really afraid of when it comes to making mistakes. We maybe don't want to let our families down. We are maybe afraid of what other people are going to think. We might be afraid of rejection. We might be afraid of just the pure money aspect of, what if I make this investment and it doesn't work? What if I invest all this time and energy and things don't go the way I want them to? What if I quit my job to do my dream work and it doesn't pan out and then I've left my job? I mean, there can be many, many things that we fear in terms of, oh my gosh, I don't want to make a mistake. But the truth is that you can't actually create something that you want without stepping into that risk that you might make a mistake. Okay, that risk is an inherent part of life. I mean, it's really what you came here for. You came here to grow and to expand and to be all that you can be, and you cannot do that if you stay in your little box. You cannot you can't really step into your full potential if you aren't also willing to make a mistake. So where did this fear come from? If we know that, at a certain point before we came into the body that we're in today and into the life that we're in, if we knew on some level that we were here to make mistakes and to really see what we're capable of, why are so many women afraid of making mistakes? And why do we let that hold us back? Well, I really think that, I mean, it can be for many reasons, but I think it, in a big way, comes down to this idea that when you were born, you were 100% dependent on your parents for your survival. And instinctively, as a baby, you knew this. You knew that you needed that your parent to do everything for you, that you needed that approval. And so as you start to grow and you start to do things in the world, you start to get messages about what you're doing. And the messages aren't always necessarily intentionally to harm you or to hold you back. I mean, in some cases that can happen. If a parent is very wounded, they can then, take that out on their children in terms of things they say and ways that their children will feel as a result. But often as a child, we in our child mind will make a certain response that was given to us mean something about us. And so right away we're thinking, well, that was painful. I didn't like that consequence. I am definitely not going to do anything that puts me in a situation where I might make a mistake. So we start to go through life kind of tiptoeing our way through life because we connect making a mistake with survival. If I lose the approval of my parents, the people who are, I'm 100% dependent upon, then that equals death. And so that's how we feel. But the thing is, when we grow into adulthood, that is no longer an issue. When you're an adult, you are 100% responsible for you and for your own survival. And you're no longer dependent on anyone else but yourself. So if you didn't get messaging or conditioning that allowed you to shift away from this need to have your parents be responsible for your survival to you taking responsibility for your survival, then you may not have moved past this fear of making a mistake. Okay, so that's kind of what a lot of people are carrying and dealing with, and sort of where that comes from. So what we want to do here is we really want to shift your view of mistakes. Because when you can shift the view and not make it about survival anymore, and send a new message to your subconscious mind about what it means to make a mistake, you suddenly that fear can go away and you can start to make some different decisions about that. So, what could I say to myself about mistakes that would allow me to make different decisions and that would allow me to take the healthy risks that will help me grow and help me expand and help me be a bigger, more integrated version of who I am and to experience more of what I want in life? Because that's really what we're here for. If you're listening to this right now, I have a feeling that you've got a dream and you want something more. And I also believe that you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't know that within you is the potential to achieve that, to achieve what you want. Okay. So if you're listening to this, I hope you resonate with that because I'm certain that you know somewhere inside of you that you have this ability. You have this ability. The problem is that if you do not allow yourself to step out, to take a risk, to put yourself out there, to do something that might not work, you only um, set yourself up basically for a lot of disappointment and a lot of settling in your life. And we don't want that because we know that doesn't lead to a happy and fulfilled life. So, different ways to frame this idea in your head are asking yourself, what if I celebrated every mistake I made? What if I looked at it as something that it really is here for me? It's really something to celebrate. And I love this one because I think it's really easy to do when you think of it of a mistake in terms of, well, when you make a mistake, there's always information. There's always information that's being shared. And if you use it as just neutral information as opposed to a reason to beat yourself up, then you can grow. You can actually learn from that and you can expand more into who you're here to be. I mean, one of the things I really do firmly believe is that when you are stepping onto the path that will lead you to your desire, so you've got this vision in your mind, and so you say yes to your vision and you say, I will do this. You commit to the vision, you make the decision to do it, and then you start to go down that path. Immediately, what will happen is you'll have an opportunity to make a mistake. You just will. And that is not there to stop you from moving forward. In fact, that mistake comes, and every single mistake after that comes to help you to grow into the person who has the vision that you desire. Because if you were already the person who could have the vision, you would be living the vision right now. You wouldn't have to change anything. But most of us are not. Our visions are a little bit ahead of us, right? It's something that we see forward. You know, our past is in the rearview mirror, but we're driving forward and the vision is where we're going for. And we're in this present moment now. And so to be with that vision, to catch up with the vision, we've got some growth that we have to step into. And the best way and the fastest way to step into that growth is to get on a path towards a vision and start making mistakes. Okay. So if you can keep that in your mind that, like, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make a mistake today. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to give your best effort. But if you are open enough to the mistake that you can celebrate at the end of the day, well, let's see how many mistakes I made today. You know, what a kind of fun way to look at it, right? And this actually reminds me of a story about the founder of Spanx, Sarah Blakely. I remember her telling this story, and I thought, this is just brilliant. And how connected of her father to do this. But she had told the story about when she was growing up and she was a schoolgirl, that every day when she'd come home from school, her dad would ask her, "So what did you fail at today?" And what that did was it planted the idea in her mind that if you're not failing at something, you probably haven't tried very hard, right? You probably haven't taken a risk. You probably haven't put yourself out there in a way that will allow you to grow. And so, if you think about that and maybe even strive for that, maybe that's the question you ask yourself every night is, what did I fail at today? And not from a not, this is not an excuse to beat yourself up about it, but really to celebrate. Hey, I tried some things. That is amazing. And let's see what I learned. Okay. And that's the next question you can ask yourself to help reframe this idea of making mistakes is to think about, what have I learned from past mistakes? So maybe this looks like that you're calling up in your mind some of the things that you feel were a mistake from your past. And then you can ask yourself, okay, so what did I learn from that? What do I now know? What bit of wisdom do I have that I didn't have before I made that mistake? How can I use that experience to inform how I've grown in my life? And to really see that as me blossoming, like that was me stepping into a new level when I made that mistake. So that's another thing to do is to recall your past mistakes. Again, not to beat yourself up. I know I say that a lot, but because won't we look at for opportunities to do that? Yeah, no, you do not have my permission to beat yourself up. But really to look at, what did I learn? What did I learn? Write it down. I mean, this would be a great exercise, is write down things that you feel were mistakes and then leave a little space and write down, what was the lesson I gained? What was the gift in that mistake? And that can help to really get you moving and excited rather than fearful of making mistakes, okay? The other thing I want to share about this is that we try so hard to move away from any possible, like we put like guardrails on our path so we don't make a mistake. Like we put special protections to make sure, oh my gosh, I can't make a mistake. We just, it's so drilled into us, I can't make a mistake, that we set up all these protective mechanisms. And the thing is, all that really does is protect you from your success. I'm being perfectly honest here. Don't protect yourself from the success that you want. You don't need to. You are strong enough to get through this, any mistake that you make. It's not possible. This is another thing, really important. It's not possible to make a mistake if you have a good heart and good intentions, okay? Which anyone listening to this does. It coming from that place of good heart, good intentions, it is not possible to make a mistake so bad that you can't recover from it. I mean, you can make some bad mistakes, okay? But you can always recover from the mistakes. You can always recover from the mistakes that you make. That's really important to understand. Because when you know that, it's a little less scary. And the other thing about this is that in the recovery from the mistake is the gift. That's the learning. That's the growth, is when you have to recover from it. When you've got, I mean, you think about people who have created a lot of success in their life. Now, many people who have amassed big fortunes, before they actually got to their big fortune, they hit rock bottom. They lost, you hear stories of how they lost everything, like making investments and, trying things. And you hear about some people who amass a fortune and then they lose it all and then they grow it back again. I mean, that doesn't happen when you're not trying things, when you're not stepping out, when you're not taking a risk that you might make a mistake. And in all those situations, what they needed in order to recover from the mistake was how they viewed it. The only way you would not recover from a mistake is if you viewed it as the end of the road for you. And that's just a perception, because you can have two people that make a similar mistake and one person will not recover from it because their perception is, I'm a loser, I wasn't meant to do this, this is it, I can't ever risk again, it's not worth it, yada, yada, yada. And they will stay small. And then you have the same, different person, same mistake, and they will have a completely different outlook on it. They will say, okay, what did I learn from this? How can I do better next time? What protections do I need to put around? Now, I'm talking about protections. There's risk minimization. Sometimes not sometimes, that's a smart thing to do, okay? But not to the point where you can't grow, okay? So that's the difference. But they're looking at, okay, what can I put into place that I didn't have here in the past? A lot of people get into trouble when they're partnering with someone in a business and it goes bad because maybe the partner takes some of the money or somehow it causes the business to go down. And I know people in both of those situations. And one person ended up recovering because of their attitude and creating a multi-million-dollar business. And the other person is still trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life. And they're like almost 60 years old. And this happened like 20, 30 years ago. So, it's all in knowing that whatever you deem as the mistake that caused the problem, knowing and having the perspective that I can recover from this and that this was a gift and that this is helping me to step into a higher place within myself. And it's helping me to mine the diamonds and the jewels and the treasures that are within me. It's sharpening me up. It's getting me ready for the bigger vision so that I can really step into that and live it, okay? So mistakes they're awesome. You want to celebrate them when they show up in your life, okay? Just kind of summing up here, here's a few things that you can take away today from what I'm sharing on mistakes and look at these things in your own life, okay? Number one, think about some of your past failures. Things that, maybe you've pushed away or they come up every now and again and you feel bad about them. Bring those things up again and ask yourself, okay, what did I learn from that situation? And how did I grow? How did that situation allow me to grow? And if I didn't grow from it, because maybe I'm taking the perspective that it was bad and that it means certain things about me that are bad, how can you change that now? How can you update how you're viewing that situation now from this new place that you're in after listening to this? And how can you see yourself differently? How can you see yourself as growing from that? How can you grow from that now? Just because you didn't grow from it then doesn't mean you can't use that now in your life and grow, okay? So that's question number one. Question number two, with regard to my current goal, how am I stopping myself or protecting myself from making a mistake? What are the ways that I'm not stepping into this next thing? Where am I holding myself back? And why? What am I afraid of? What do I think is going to happen if I take this risk? And that's a really serious question. What are you afraid of? When you can look at the fear and then you can say, is this really true? Like, first of all, is this likely to happen? And if it does, will I be able to recover from it realistically? When you shine the light on it, chances are you're going to realize that whatever this fear is of making that mistake, that the gift on the other side is bigger than the fear. If you make the fear bigger than the vision, you'll never move forward. So you want to flip that and make the vision bigger than the fear. And that is actually something that has really guided me over the last 2 years, I would say, in terms of stepping into things and making decisions, scary decisions, investment decisions, and things that I think will move me forward. I mean, I don't know, right? I never know if something's going to be successful, but what I do know is my vision. And what I do know is what opportunities are showing up for me. And when I resonate with what I think is my next step, and the fear comes up, then I ask myself, am I going to allow this fear to be bigger than my vision? Yes or no? And it really does come down to just a simple decision. And for me, the question's always no. My vision is bigger than anything. I want to step into that. I want to continue growing. I want to keep evolving. I want to be more of who I can be. There's always more that we can be. We hide and disintegrate a lot of who we are. We push things down into corners, and rather than allow full integration of our beingness. And that really comes through making mistakes and looking at them as the gift that they are. Okay. So that's the second question is, with my current goal, how am I not stepping into it? How am I making my fear of mistakes bigger than my desire for my vision? And if you have, this is a side note, but if you have a fear that's bigger than your vision, you probably don't have the right vision, because the right vision, the one that's really connected to your heart and soul, pretty hard to put anything in front of that. It really, really is. So maybe you're not even thinking big enough. So that's probably a talk for another day. And then lastly, last question you can ask yourself is, given what I answer from those previous two, what can I do differently to get a new result? Because if you're not at your result yet, there's something that you can do that maybe you're not doing yet. So how can I look at what I'm doing differently in a different way? How can I use the gifts from the past? How can I analyze the opportunities that are in front of me and make a decision that maybe I wouldn't have made before in order to get a new result? Because we know that if we want to change something, we've got to make a change. We have to make a change in what we're doing. You are the cause, and you alone are the cause of your success. There's nobody getting in your way or holding you back. There's no circumstance that can do that. There's no person that can do that. There's no institution that can do that. There's nothing that can do that but you. And by the same token, you are the only one that can also give it to yourself. Give yourself the permission to say yes and to step in. And that does require being willing to make mistakes and being willing to see the mistake in a positive light so that you can recover from it. Okay? So that's what I want to share today about mistakes. I hope this was helpful. There's so much more I could talk about on this, but I want to try to keep these concise, bite-sized nuggets for you. But as we are closing out from this talk today, I want to share some of my favorite quotes on failure and making mistakes, because I really think grabbing onto one or two of these that resonate with you and maybe writing it down and putting it up somewhere where you see it regularly can help you remember and really embrace this idea of how important and valuable making mistakes really is. So this is from Disraeli, and he said, "All of my successes have been built on my failures." John F. Kennedy said, "Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly." James Joyce said, "Mistakes are the portals of discovery." Henry Ford said, "Failure is simply an opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently." Albert Einstein said, "Failure is success in progress." I really, really like that. Failure is success in progress. Robert Allen said, "There is no failure, only feedback." And I've used that one a lot for myself personally. When I have perceived failures, I do tell myself, this is feedback. This is not a problem or bad. This is just feedback for moving forward. Robert Kiyosaki said, "Losers quit when they fail. Winners fail until they succeed." And the last one, J.K. Rowling, she said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I built my life." So hopefully that was helpful, and I hope some of these quotes inspired you a little bit. And use those questions and see how that can move you forward on your path to your vision. And if you are looking for an opportunity to move forward and you want some support with that, I would highly recommend signing up for a money clarity call. You can do that at ishinekids.com/money clarity. Basically, we'll talk about what your big vision is. We'll look at what's getting in the way of you having that vision. And we'll see the 1 or 2 steps that you can take right away to get moving forward. And if I think I can help you beyond that call, I will let you know what that looks like. So that's ishinekids.com/money clarity. And I'm wishing you great success and get out there and make some mistakes so that you can continue to grow. Take care, and I'll see you next week. I think we're going to be on Tuesday next week instead of Wednesday. I will send out a note on Monday of next week, but I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. So look for that, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye-bye.